Ron Smith, who's the Vice President of Education Initiatives over at Salesforce, joins me now. Ron, great to have you here with us today, and tell us more about these grants and what they're going to be used for.
Thank you so much for having me. Right now, it's just an amazing time. Everyone's always excited, the beginning of the school year, kids going back, families, teachers, but it's unprecedented. This is the second year of the unknowns. But with that, we decided it's not just about being a partner, it's about staying committed. We're excited to announce $19 million to our U.S. school district partners, as well as our nonprofits in the United States and in Europe. And they're addressing needs that are growing around the world: learning loss, digital divide, social emotional needs, and even more. And we have to be ready to address these because they're growing. And as long as we keep doing this, we're part of the solution. With that, we're even more excited to say we reached our $100 million barrier goal to our barrier school districts. And that's just part of our $140 million worldwide commitment to date, and part of Salesforce commitment to education.
Right, and so that's been taking place for roughly 9 years. Salesforce has been investing in education to get to that $140 million figure. How does this campaign differ from prior ones?
And it's even been, since the beginning of Salesforce, we've been committed to education. We just have gone deeper the last 10 years. But what we've had to do this year, even more so, is we had to become more authentic listeners, deeper partners. And this is all about strength and resiliency. We recognize that teachers and educators and students and families, they need more. Why? Because those are furthest from behind are falling more and more behind, and we have to step up and be ready to support. Support our teachers with professional development, support our families, support our students to address the gaps. And if we continue to do this, we'll help our students move forward and be successful in the future. This is not a short-term goal. This is something that's going to take time, and we're committed to be part of the fight for it.
Certainly. McKinsey estimates that last year students lost the equivalent of 3 months of learning in math and 1.5 months of learning in reading. So how can we get students back on track, especially students of color who were disproportionately impacted as well by some of these barriers, whether they be technological, whether they be the actual educational resources that were not even there prior to the pandemic?
Well, at the heart of it, we have to be active listeners. We have to go in and really talk to our partners and say, what is the greatest need? What is the data telling you? And we have to be nimble. We have to be flexible. We can't be stuck in what we want to do. As we're going through the days, school's been open some places for a month. Some places are just opening a week ago. And they're going to find out through time there are more and more needs coming up and arising. And we have to be part of that change. It's a long journey. And I think that at the heart of it is really what we have to look forward to. Don't worry about today. Don't think about 3 months. This could take years, but we have to get in the fight now, because those that are already behind, they can't wait years. So we have to be part of the solution, be an active listener, and if we do that, we'll help transform those lives moving forward.
The new school year underway, how can we make sure that the learning gap does not exacerbate itself?
Well, when you're thinking about the learning gap, it's something that we just have to look and use data to address. So every school system in every area is trying to figure out what's the greatest need. You have to address those that are already behind. You have to be listening to communities and families and partners. You have to talk to students and find out where we can go. Find the best way. Be nimble. Be willing to change. Get better professional development. Understand you could have an in-person component and a virtual component. As long as we're doing that, and always keep in mind, those that need more need to receive more. So to do that, Salesforce is being committed to that as well. And as long as systems are willing to address those and go deeper, we can make change come faster.
One of the great things about this grant, some of the money is also going to be used to address students' emotional needs after COVID-19. And this is so important. Can you talk more about that initiative and particularly the significance and what went into that decision process?
So we've always talked to our partners and found out their greatest needs. But in having conversations with CEOs, superintendents, and nonprofit leaders around the world, we recognize there's so many unknowns, so many things that are unexpected that we can't account for. But what we did here is that there's more than just the basic academics. As students come in the building, as educators come in the buildings, as families come in the buildings, they said that there were things that we will find out that we'll need to be nimble about and address. And so mindfulness, trauma-informed practices, restorative justice, other areas that are greater than just the basics. Think about it this way. Students have to learn again how to sit in the classroom with their peers, with other adults. Adults have to learn how to be in the classroom with students. And that's a key. And so within that, it's more than just trying to get basic reading and writing and math. We have to figure out the best way to address their needs bigger, both their heart and their mind.
Ron, I only have about 30 seconds here, just very briefly. Of course, this is coming from Salesforce, and when we think about the federal government and what they can do more moving forward in terms of educational support and this overlap between what the private sector can do and what the public sector can do, what changes would you like to see be made?
Work together. Ask the question. The best way to do it is say, how can I help? That's the best thing. Private, public, community, city leaders, school leaders, how can we come together and build a better future for our students, our families, our community, and our teachers? If we do that, we'll make sure the students have a bright future ahead.
Ron Smith, who's the VP of Education Initiatives over at Salesforce. Ron, thank you so much for the time here this morning. Certainly do appreciate it.